Hello, welcome to another recap video. This drama is about a high school girl named Ellen. She has lost both of her parents, and his father's friend is her guardian now. She's currently living at his house. It's the first day of school, which is the beginning of their senior year. The school's richest boy's name is Max, who drives his own car to school and hits another student's bicycle, whose name is Levon. Levon is a nice person who can't resist any unfairness and inequality. He gets into an argument with him about his behavior, but Max is an immature rich boy who doesn't behave correctly in the society. His father sees him arguing with Levon and gets disappointed in him. Levon pushes Max, and at that moment Ellen is behind him and they both fall down. Ellen starts her day on an unlucky side, but a girl named Sarah, who is also in her class, helps her to get up and they both go inside together. Ellen becomes close to Sarah as she doesn't know anyone else at that school, and Sarah is also coming from a very rich family. One of their classmates throws a birthday party at his father's villa, and Sarah asks Ellen to join them to get closer to other students in their class. Ellen is excited to be there and tries to fit in the environment, but no one comes forward to talk with her. Max is at this party too, and he keeps looking at Ellen. She yelled at him during the first day of school when he didn't apologize to her for falling on her, so he now wants to get revenge from her. He notices that she's alone and nobody is around her, so he tries to approach her. Ellen gets scared and tells him that he's just a rich, immature boy who only relies on his father's money without thinking about others' emotions, and he doesn't seem to know the word sorry. This makes him angrier, and he starts getting closer and closer to her. She warns him to not get any closer to her, and she keeps going backwards without realizing that the pool is behind her, and she falls into the water without knowing how to swim. Nobody steps forward to help her, and she barely manages to get out of the pool. Max keeps laughing at her, showing his victory to her, which shows his childish attitude, as he always wants to win. When Ellen is out of water, she asks Sarah to help her get up, but Sarah stands next to Max and they both start laughing at her. Sarah is actually Max's girlfriend, which their fathers want them to get married in the future for both families' business purposes. She has fooled Ellen this entire time. In another day, Max tells his friend Robert that his father has brought home his friend's daughter to keep her for some time, but he hasn't met her yet. That girl is actually Ellen, which he has no clue about it, because Ellen has moved to their house about 3 days ago and always stayed at her room, so they haven't encountered each other yet. However, one day when they want to go to school, Max waits downstairs to see who is his father's friend's daughter, and he sees that she's Ellen. He gets very shocked. He again wants to mess with her, and when she goes back to her room to get her diary, as she forgot to put it in her bag, he locks the door from outside. She starts screaming for help, but no one is there except for Max, and he starts laughing, and then leaves. He's realized that school and academics are very important for her, so he wants her to miss the class that day. However, Ellen manages to come to school, and she seems to be out of breath from running, but Sarah pulls another trick by making her fall down. However, Max catches her because he's scared of his father getting mad at him if something happens to Ellen. Ellen is a very smart and kind girl. She managed to escape from the room through the balcony. She doesn't want to give up to Max's silly games. Her father has always been by her side as a friend, and it's actually difficult for her now to manage her life on her own, but she wants to do anything to keep her guardian, who is her father's friend, happy as he provides her housing, food, and pays her school's tuition because it's a private high school. At night, Max's father calls Ellen to his room and asks her if she has met his son at school, as they both attend the same school. She says that she doesn't know who his son is. He tells her that his son is a little immature, and if he bothers her, she should tell him immediately. At that moment, Max comes in, and by hearing his voice, she immediately recognizes him. However, she doesn't tell his father that they've had conflicts at school because she doesn't want to worry him. They pretend that it's their first time meeting each other. He takes her to school the next day to make his father happy. However, his childish behavior doesn't end here because he wants to show his authority to Ellen as she doesn't seem to be obedient to him at all. He grabs her bag and starts looking into it and making fun of her things. She comes back to the classroom and gets back his phone from him. He starts looking into her purse and making fun of how much money she has in it. Ellen has reached her patience limit and takes her bag from him and throws money at him by telling him that she might not have a lot of money as he does, but she had a family who would do anything for her, but he lacks that in his life, which makes him behave this way. This actually hits hard on Max, and he becomes silent after this. When he gets home, he goes to his mother's room and starts remembering Ellen's words. His mother is mentally ill, and his father always wants to keep her locked in her room so no one would see her. He starts crying as he's looking at his mother because he's realized that Ellen's words were actually true, that his family is not a true family, as his father doesn't like him and his mother doesn't always remember him. He lacks care and kindness in his life, which has made him behave this way. Another day is shown where Max tells Ellen to come home later that night, as his father is on a business trip, and he wants to invite his friends to his house, but they shouldn't see her there. Ellen has nowhere else to stay, so she keeps walking around the city in the cold weather at night. She finally decides to call him and ask when she can come back home. He picks up the phone and hears her voice shaking. He actually gets worried and rushes outside to find her. Ellen is scared to walk alone outside in the dark and constantly thinks that someone is following her. She sits on a bench waiting for Max to come and starts writing in her diary. He finds her and tells her that he thought she has somewhere else to stay, and he genuinely didn't know that she doesn't have any other friend or relative. He asks her why her hair is wet, and Ellen responds in an angry tone that she has been walking around the city for hours, and it suddenly started to rain. It seems like Max is starting to feel guilty and takes her back home. The next day, he buys her cold pills and forces her to take them because he saw her hair wet, so he doesn't want her to catch cold. Max's mother comes outside of her room and starts screaming where Ellen sees her for the first time, and for the first time, she gets to see Max's soft side of how much he cares for someone and feels worried as she thought that he is an emotionless and careless person. He now wants to get to know her more, so he asks his English teacher to set up a one-on-one tutoring session with Ellen to help him boost his grade. He has very low grades, but when Ellen is trying to teach him, he suddenly stands up and pushes away all the books. He says that he feels sorry for what he has done to her because he just wanted to get her attention, but he now realizes how lonely she is. And he can really relate to her as he feels very lonely too, despite being rich. He gets very close to her, which makes her nervous, so she hits him with the book. Ellen loves reading books, so she goes to the backyard and sits there to read one of her favorite books. Max sees her reading and decides to sit next to her. He asks her to read her favorite part to him, as no one has ever read him books. Ellen starts reading a part of the story, which is about separation and loneliness, and she suddenly starts crying because it reminds her of herself and her hardships. Max sees her crying and tries to wipe her tears. She gets surprised and tries to leave because his caring actions seem strange to her. As she's trying to get up, he pulls her towards himself, and they both fall. This creates a tense moment between them. Max's father has realized that his son has started to get closer to Ellen. He tells Max that he needs to keep his distance from Ellen, as he will get engaged to Sarah in near future. But Max reminds him that Sarah is only his friend, and their parents have been pressuring them to be in a romantic relationship, which both of them don't want to. He's slowly developing feelings for Ellen, as she's changing the way he behaves. Max's father warns Eleni to keep her distance from his son, but Max has a serious conversation with her and tells her that once he sets up his mind to do something, he never backs off. He tells her that he's developed feelings for her, and she's a precious person in his life now, as she's given new colors to his life by showing him new aspects of everything. He receives kindness and care from Ellen, which he hasn't received from anyone else before. Ellen agrees to trust him and his words, as she can see that he actually cares for her, and he isn't lying. Max gets emotional and pulls her towards himself. He has truly changed for her. He wants to kiss her when his father comes and sees them together. He calls out his name and interrupts what they were doing. After that, Ellen starts keeping her distance from him because Max's father tells her that Max will lose of his assets and money if he ends up with her, so she doesn't want to hurt him, so they both go to their classmate's birthday party, which during Truth or Dare game, Max has to kiss Ellen's cheek. This creates a tense moment between them, but he actually does it despite the fact that Ellen wants to keep her distance from him. Sarah watches this scene, but she doesn't get jealous as she doesn't have feelings for Max. Levon sees that Sarah looks a little down. He makes her wear headphones and plays songs for her to boost her mood. He offers her to dance with him, and they share a beautiful moment together. Levon has a crush on Sarah. Despite all of Ellen's ignorance towards Max, he still cares for her even more and always follows her around. One day, when she comes out of her part-time work, He notices that she's behaving strangely, so he starts following her. Ellen sees Max and starts telling him that she has missed him a lot, and all these days pretending to be cold to him has been a nightmare for her. She's able to say these words because she has a high fever. She then hugs him tightly by asking him to not leave, as he is now the only person she has in her life. He gets happy when he hears her words, as he now knows that she has feelings for him too. She then faints in his arms, as she has a very high fever. He takes her home and takes care of her the entire night. He then sleeps next to her. Ellen wakes up in the morning and notices Max sleeping next to her. She first gets surprised, but then becomes happy to see that he's holding her hand tightly and took care of her the entire night. When she starts to feel better, he comes to her room again and assures her to stay with him and never leave him. His words calm her, and they spend a good time with each other. Both of them are alone and need each other's support. They have found comfort and love in each other, which has changed their lives, but there are obstacles that they have to overcome them together. Max is ready to put aside his luxurious life for Eleni. It's Max's birthday, and they are celebrating it at a restaurant. Ellen gets ready and prepares a gift for him, which is a drawing of him. However, when she wants to leave, Max's father tells her that they are celebrating his birthday as a family, and it's more private, so it's better if she doesn't attend. Ellen goes back to her room and starts crying while realizing that he will never approve their love. She really wants to be by his side on his birthday. Max's father leaves, but Max comes back to pick her up, but they realize that the door is locked. He tells her that he will take her out no matter what, and wants to break the door. Ellen stops him and tells him that she actually has a way of getting out of the room, which she used this trick when he locked the door on her when they first met. She uses the same method and gets out through the balcony. Max wants to spend his birthday with the girl that he loves and avoids going to the gathering that his father has prepared for him, because his father only cares about money and his business. On the other hand, everyone is waiting for Max to come to the restaurant, but he doesn't show up. Levon calls Sarah and tells her that he's waiting for her outside the restaurant. She gets happy and says that she wants to go to restroom, but she actually takes her stuff and leaves with Levon, who's waiting for her. Sarah has developed feelings for Levon too. Max takes Ellen to amusement park where he has rented the entire park and lights up all the lights for her. He tells her that she has lightened up his dark life and made him realize what love is, and then he confesses his love to her. She confesses her love to him too, and they share their first kiss in that beautiful moment. Both Sarah and Max have found their life partners who truly love them. However, a big twist happens in their life. One of Ellen's father's friend's son appears and tells her that her current guardian, who is Max's father, has been fooling her to get her entire inheritance. He asks Eleni if she has signed any paper, and she says that she did. This proves that Max's father tricked Ellen and got the ownership of Ellen's father's factory and business. He then wants to kick Ellen out of his house very soon. This boy, whose name is Aram, gives her a key and says that only this house is left for her, which no one knows about it. Ellen is shocked about this news. She packs her stuff and leaves quietly to live in that house. She writes a letter for Max and tells him about all this. She tells him that she's leaving the house because she can't tolerate his father anymore, but her love for her still exists and will never fade. Max gets very sad and starts crying while reading the letter. After some time, she goes back to Max's house as a guest. She wants to show Max's father that she knows what he has done and wants to reveal everything. His father actually gets shocked that she knows all this and tells her that she has no evidence that he did all that. Ellen tells him that she will reveal that he tricked her into signing those papers. Ellen is very sad and starts crying on the way home because she trusted Max's father and saw him as her own father, and she remembers his words to her when he first wanted to take her to his home. He seemed nice, but he was acting the entire time. Max surprises her during her play and goes on stage to confess his love to her there in front of everyone. He says, "Despite anything, please love me." Ellen gets emotional and tells him that whatever his father did to her has nothing to do with him, and she loves him a lot. She decides to meet Aram and tell him that she doesn't care about her inheritance. However, Aram tells her that he will take care of this on his own to put Max's father in jail for what he has done because he deserves it. Max, Ellen, Levon, and Sarah get together. They say that Sarah's parents don't approve their relationship and Max's father doesn't approve Ellen. 4 of them decide to run away for some time to show that they actually love each other, and it isn't a joke for them. At first, girls don't agree with this idea, but then after some conversation, they come to an agreement. Sarah packs her stuff, writes a letter for his family, and leaves. Max, Levon, and Ellen come to pick her up with Max's car. They want to go to another city for a couple of days to just scare their family members. They have become close friends with each other, where they were enemies in the beginning of the school year. However, this doesn't end well, because when they stop to eat something, Levon notices that some men are following them who are from Max's father. They rush to run away, but they get into an accident. All of them are taken to hospital. Fortunately, all of them are feeling well and nothing happened to them. 3 months are passed. Aram takes the case to the court and finds enough evidence. Max's father gets arrested, and Ellen gets her inheritance back. Now, it's the time of their graduation ceremony from high school. Sarah's father is a fair person and accepts Levon's and Sarah's relationship. Ellen stays with Max despite what his father has done to her. They celebrate their graduation together. The drama ends with the scene, showing both Ellen and Max making wishes that they want to stay with each other, despite the obstacles they will face in their way, because their love has already faced many challenges. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned for upcoming recap videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. Bye everyone.